Good evening, everyone. My topic for today's discussion for the next session is antiemetic drugs. Now, I'm going to discuss antiemetic drugs with you. Now, what is vomiting? It is the physiological phenomena. It is the expulsion of gastric contents through mouth due to massive antiperistalsis movement. There is a massive antiperistalsis in the stomach and in the esophagus, so which will lead to expulsion of gastric contents. It is the protective mechanism, protective reflux against to get rid of the toxic substances, toxic food particles from outside the from or poison from inside to outside. It can be a valuable life-saving physiological response to ingested toxin, and it is unwanted side effect. Now, vomiting can be due to radiation induced. In cancer, in chemotherapy, we give the radiation. Sorry, in cancer patients, we give radiation and chemotherapeutic agents. It can be unwanted side effect of those treatment, or it can occur in early pregnancy, which is known as morning sickness, and it can occur during migraine, or it can occur in the motion sickness. Motion sicknesses, when due to traveling, there is a vomiting can occur due to disturbance of the vestibular apparatus. Now, how the vomiting takes place is there is stimulus from the cortex or from various organs of the body. Like there can be from the viscera, from the stomach, there can be a visceral impulses stimulus, or from the cerebral cortex, pain, smell, taste, sight, emotion, any high loud noise. Psychogenic stimuli can lead to, they can stimulate the vomiting center, and then that will lead to phrenic nerve and somatic nerve stimulation. Means muscles of the diaphragm they contract, and muscles of the GAT they contract, and they that phrenic nerve is stimulated and somatic nerve is stimulated, which will lead to vomiting, that is emesis. So this is how the mechanism of vomiting takes place. First of all, I'll discuss with the cortex. In the cortex, there will be disturbance in the sight. Any harm, dangerous sight is there, or any noxious stimuli like sight, smell, taste, any pain, or any psychogenic condition, or any emotion that can lead to that can stimulate the cortex, and that cortex stimulates the vomiting center, which will lead to vomiting. And then in the blood vessels, there can be uh, a stimulation of the blood vessels, leading to various mediators of inflammation release. Various toxins get released in the blood vessels. When the blood vessels get stimulated, they will send impulses to the CTZ, which is the chemoreceptor trigger zone, and that will again stimulate the vomiting center, and that will lead to vomiting. In the gut or in the pharynx, there is a, whenever there is toxin or any any harmful drug, it comes in contact with GAT, with the enterochromaffin cells of the GAT, or in the pharynx, there will be release of the serotonin in the enterochromaffin like cells, and that serotonin stimulates the visceral vagal afferents, which will stimulate the nucleus tectus solitarius, and which this nucleus tectus solitarius, it will stimulate the chemoreceptor trigger zone, which will in turn stimulate vomiting center and cause vomiting. And also the vagal afferent impulses from the laryngeal pharyngeal afferent vagal impulses from the pharynx, they will send impulses to the nucleus tectus solitarius when any toxin or any drug particle is comes in contact with the pharynx, and it will stimulate nucleus tectus solitarius, which will stimulate chemoreceptor trigger zone, and that will stimulate the vomiting center and will lead to vomiting. In the inner ear, when there is motion, any movement is there, any abnormal, when the inner ear is not in balance in case of traveling, the labyrinthine impulses can travel from the uh, vestibular apparatus, and these can travel to the cerebellum, that is the the region of maintenance of the balance, and the cerebellum can send impulses to the vomiting center and can lead to vomiting. Now this is how again the mechanism and the drugs which act on these various um, uh, various regions. Like there is in the higher cortex, in the higher center, the emotions, pain, smell, repulsive sight will stimulate the vomiting center, and which will lead to emesis. And in the vomiting center, basically there are three types of receptors present, that is muscarinic receptors, antihistaminic receptors, H1 receptors, and 5-HT3, that is serotonergic receptors. And these get inhibited, the actions get inhibited by anti-muscarinic drugs and H1 antagonist, the actions from the higher center. And in the visceral afferents, that is in the pharynx, and gagging and stomach local irritants and poisons and endotoxins, radiation and chemotherapy will lead to stimulation of the blood. In the visceral, in the GIT and in the pharynx, the receptors present are 5-HT3, and they will stimulate the nucleus tectus solitarius. They have muscarinic, antihistaminic, and serotonergic receptors, H1, M1, and 5-HT3. And we can give the drugs like anti-muscarinic, antihistaminic, and anti-serotonergic drugs. 5-HT3 antagonists can be given to treat the vomiting. And in the blood, we can give it, which stimulates the chemoreceptor trigger zone. In the chemoreceptor trigger zone, the receptors present are D2, 5-HT3, M1, H1. And also the opioid and neurokinin receptors are also present. So we can give dopamine antagonist drugs and serotonergic antagonist drugs to treat to suppress the vomiting in the CTZ only. And in the vestibular nuclei, in the vestibular apparatus in the inner ear, in the motion sickness, when there is a vestibular nuclear stimulation, the M1 and H1 receptors are present. So we can give the drugs H1 antagonist and anti-muscarinic drugs to treat the vomiting, which send impulses to cerebellum and to the vomiting center again. But this is how where the site of action of various drugs is responsible for treating the vomiting. This I have discussed with you. Now these are the receptors involved: H1 histamine, D2 5-HT3, M1 and M3 neurokinin 1 cannabinoid receptors, and mu opioid receptors. These are the receptors involved in vomiting. Now types of emesis. What are the types of emesis are there? There can be motion sickness. It can result in space flights, taking off, landing of the aeroplane. It means in any traveling in the sea or in air or in buses or in cars, this motion sickness can occur and the vomiting can occur. And there will be stimulation of the vestibular apparatus, which will send vestibular labyrinthine impulses from the vestibular apparatus to the cerebellum, and which send the impulses to the vomiting center, and then there is vomiting. And the receptors involved are H1 and M muscarinic receptors. So we give H1 antagonist and M antagonist. Morning sickness is when the first semester estrogen levels are increased. Estrogen levels get increased and there is stimulation of the CTZ, that is chemoreceptor trigger zone is stimulated. So we give the drugs are antihistaminics, and D2 antagonists can be given. Antihistaminics can be given with pyridoxine, vitamin B6, helping in synthesis of GABA, having anti-anxiety effect. And D2 antagonists are not used due to teratogenic potential. Other are chemotherapy-induced vomiting. In the chemotherapy-induced vomiting, there is release of serotonin from the intestinal mucosa, which stimulates the CTZ, or it can stimulate the nucleus tectus solitarius. It sends the vagal and splanchnic impulses from the enterochromaffin like cells of the GIT. The vagal and splanchnic impulses will be traveled, which will stimulate the CTZ and nucleus tectus solitarius, which will again stimulate the vomiting center and cause the vomiting. So the drugs are anti-serotonergic drugs, 5-HT3 antagonist for the treatment of chemotherapy-induced vomiting. Post-operative nausea and vomiting also, there is a complication of general anesthesia. After operation, nausea and vomiting can come. And we give the drugs 5-HT3 antagonists to treat this condition. Now, these are the various classification of antiemetics. Anticholinergics, hyoscine dicyclomine, antihistaminics, promethazine, diphenhydramine, dimenhydrinate, doxylamine, meclizine, cinnarizine. Neuroleptics, chlorpromazine, triflupromazine, prochlorperazine, haloperidol. Neuroleptics are D2 receptor antagonists, antipsychotic drugs. Prokinetics are which are D2 receptor antagonists, 5-HT3 antagonist and 5-HT4 agonist. These are metoclopramide, domperidone, cisapride, mosapride, etopride. 5-HT3 antagonists are ondansetron, granisetron, palnosetron, ramusetron. Neurokinin 1 antagonist, which is the which liberates substance P, and it is produced in the body in the response to pain. The substance P will be produced, which will lead to vomiting. Neurokinin 1 receptors antagonists are aprepitant and fosaprepitant. Adjuvant emetics are uh, corticosteroids like dexamethasone, which are used in anticipatory vomiting. Benzodiazepines can be used. Adjuvant corticosteroids can be used in chemotherapy-induced vomiting, in post-operative nausea, vomiting, in radiation-induced vomiting. Benzodiazepines can be used in anticipatory vomiting, in which there is a anticipation that there is vomiting because of the stimulation of cerebral cortex. Dronabinol and cannabinoid, these are cannabinoid receptor agonist, CB1 agonist. This is how the various drugs act. Benzodiazepines act at the higher cortical center, stimulation of vomiting center. Chemoreceptor trigger zone, area posterior of fourth ventricle, that is blocked by stimulation of the chemoreceptor trigger zone is blocked by H1, M1, D2 and cannabinoids. H1 antagonist, muscarinic antagonist, dopamine antagonist, D2 antagonist and cannabinoids. And from the stomach, there is 5-HT3 antagonists are given, which stimulate the nucleus structure solitarius and chemoreceptor trigger zone. And in labyrinth, they are present H1 and M1 receptors. So H1 antagonist and M1 antagonist can be given to control the effect of vomiting from the labyrinth cells in motion sickness. Now anticholinergics, first, now I'm going to discuss. These are hyoscine and dicyclomine. These are used in motion sickness. Brief action of duration of action, these are given. Transdermal patch is used. And the effects will be anticholinergic as sedation, dry mouth, blurring of vision, urinary retention, tachycardia. All these side effects, constipation will come. Dicyclomine is used for the prophylaxis of motion sickness, and it also can be used in the treatment of morning sickness. H1 antihistaminics, these have antihistaminic action, anticholinergic action, antidopaminergic action, and they have a weak sedative action. Now promethazine, diphenhydramine, dimenhydrinate, these are used in motion sickness, and they will produce the anticholinergic side effects. With metoclopramide, they can have the supplemental antiemetic action, and they block the extrapyramidal side effects used in chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting. Means they block H1 antihistaminics or anticholinergic drugs, and they have anti-dopaminergic action. So they block the extrapyramidal side effects produced by blocking of dopaminergic receptors. And this is used in the chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting. Doxylamine with pyridoxine, it is used in the treatment of morning sickness. Slow oral absorption produces drowsiness, dry mouth, vertigo, abdominal upset. Now next is meclizine, which is less sedative, longer acting, and can be used in seasickness for 24 hours. Cinnarizine is the anti-vertigo drug. Its action is that it inhibits the influx of calcium ions from endolymph to the vestibular sensory cells, which mediates labyrinthine impulses. Neuroleptics, other which are the D2 receptor antagonists. Older are phenothiazine and haloperidol. They have D2 action in the CTZ and anti-muscarinic and antihistaminic action. These can be used in drug-induced, disease-induced, malignancy-induced, or radiation-induced nausea and vomiting. That is in chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting, in malignancy-induced, in any disease-induced, or any drug like cisplatin-induced nausea and vomiting. These can be used. Side effect is sedation, or they can cause extrapyramidal side effects like acute muscle dystonia and other extrapyramidal side effects like akathisia, tardive dyskinesia, choleogyrich crisis. All this can occur. Chlorpheniramine, it is a labyrinthine suppressant and this is the anti-vertigo drug and it has anti-emetic action. Used in vertigo-associated vomiting and in chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting. Side effects are muscle dystonia, extrapyramidal side effects. Prokinetic drugs, these are the drugs which stimulate the gastric emptying, and in the enteric nervous system, it is made up of two plexus, that is mesenteric plexus and submucosal Meissner's plexus. And this mesenteric or Auerbach's plexus is responsible for contraction, and this contraction of the GI smooth muscles, and secretion is responsible it is responsibility of submucosal or Meissner's plexus. Neurotransmitter of the excitatory motor neuron is acetylcholine, and mucosal stimulation release serotonin from the enterochromaffin like cells, and this 5-HT3 inhibitory and 5-HT4 excitatory, they will lead to release of the cholinergic motor neurons. Means there will be release of the acetylcholine by 5-HT3 antagonistic action and 5-HT4 agonistic action, because this 5-HT3 is the inhibitory type of the neurotransmitter and 5-HT4 is excitatory type of the neurotransmitter. Dopaminergic is also the inhibitory type of the neurotransmitter, which will inhibit the release of the acetylcholine. Actions are metoclopramide, they increase the gastric peristalsis and they relax the pylorus in first part of duodenum, speeds the gastric emptying. LES, lower esophageal sphincter tone gets increased. So gastric esophageal reflux is treated because lower esophageal sphincter tone gets released. So gastric esophageal reflux is opposed. And CNS is that it acts on the CTZ metoclopramide and it blocks the apomorphine, which is the emetic drug, which is the D2 receptor antagonist. It can be used in the treatment in the induction of vomiting. It blocks these effects, apomorphine induced vomiting. And mechanism, it is the D2 receptor antagonist. And it also acts at the serotonergic receptors, which is 5-HT3 antagonist and 5-HT4 agonist. So it will hasten the gastric emptying and it will enhance the lower esophageal sphincter tone. And due to its anti-dopaminergic side effects, it causes chlorpromazine like side effects, like there can be extrapyramidal side effects. Plus metoclopramide is also known to increase prolactin levels in the brain. So it will lead to hyperprolactinemia, galactorrhea, menstrual disturbances, like there can be amenorrhea, or they can be other problems like gynecomastia can occur. 5-HT4 agonists is that they will activate the primary efferent neurons of enteric nervous system. These are excitatory interneurons. They enhance the acetylcholine release from the mesenteric plexus and they increase the gastric hurrying and LES tonic effects. This lower esophageal sphincter tone will be increased, gastric emptying time will be increased, and there will be relaxation of the pylorus and the duodenum. 5-HT3 receptor antagonist, it blocks 5-HT3 receptors. Metoclopramide, it is antagonist. So this inhibitory myotic interneurons and these are lead to, in turn they lead to increased release of acetylcholine. Now this is the effect that domperidone And metoclopramide, it is the D2 receptor antagonist. So they will, that D2 is the inhibitory type of receptor. When it is antagonized, it will lead to release of the acetylcholine. And metoclopramide, it also acts on the 5-HT4 and 5-HT3 receptors. 5-HT3 is the inhibitory type of receptor. So when it is antagonized, it will lead to stimulation of the release of the acetylcholine. And this 5-HT4 is the excitatory type of the receptor. And when it is stimulated by the metoclopramide, it will lead to release of the acetylcholine, increase release of the acetylcholine in the um, nerve impulses, and then there will be increased peristalsis, increased gastric emptying time, and lower esophageal tone will be increased, and pylorus will be relaxed. Adverse effects are sedation, dizziness, loose stools, muscle dystonias. Lower term use can cause Parkinsonism because they are D2 blocking action they're having, so they can cause extrapyramidal side effects. Drug-induced Parkinsonism can be there, or galactoria or gynecomastia because of the increased levels of prolactin, and this is safe during pregnancy. Uses are, it can be used in drug-induced, disease-associated radiation sickness, post-operative chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting, and higher dose needed for metogenic anti-cancer drugs. And it is gastrokinetic, so it can be used to accelerate gastric emptying, and it can be used to relieve post-vagotomy or diabetic gastroparesis associated gastric stasis, and it also facilitates the duodenal intubation. Dyspepsia and other GI disorders like hiccups can be controlled. And it is also used as increases a lower esophageal sphincter tone, so it causes the gastroesophageal reflux disease. Domperidone, it is the D2 receptor antagonist. It causes blood-brain barrier cooling, means it does not cause the blood-brain barrier. So it is not responsible for the extrapyramidal side effects occurring because of D2 receptor blockade in the brain. Bioavailability is around 50%, 15% due to first pass metabolism, and is completely biotransformed and metabolized excreted in urine. Use with levodopa and bromocriptine to decrease their emetic side effects without decreasing efficacy. These can be used. Domperidone, as it does not cross the blood-brain barrier, it can be used with levodopa and bromocriptine to decrease their emetic side effects. Means emesis of the levodopa and bromocriptine can be reduced without decreasing the efficacy of levodopa and bromocriptine because it does not cross the blood-brain barrier, so it does not antagonizes the dopamine action in the brain. Side effects will be dry mouth, loose stools, headache, galactoria, cardiac arrhythmias on rapid IV injection can occur. And indications are similar to metoclopramide, less efficacious, gastrokinetic, not useful in a metogenic chemotherapy. It is less efficacious gastrokinetic, and indications it can be used in GERD, gastrokinetic, and in as an emesis in drug-induced, disease-induced, radiation-induced, in post-operative nausea, vomiting. Cisapride is also the T2 receptor antagonistic drug. It is not the T2 receptor antagonistic drug. It only acts on the serotonergic receptors. That is only at the 5-HT4 agonist. And they are responsible for abdominal cramps as they will increase the gastric motility and diarrhea, and they prolong the QT interval, and this is responsible for causing ventricular arrhythmias, ventricular tachycardias, torsades, pointis in higher doses. So it is banned now, cisapride. Mosapride, it can cause, it also acts through the 5-HT4 agonistic receptors, and it can cause QT prolongation, arrhythmias, torsades, pointis if it is given with enzyme inhibitors which inhibit the metabolism of the mosapride. Indications are it can be given in non-ulcer dyspepsia, in diabetic gastroparesis, in the GERD, and in chronic constipation as a prokinetic drug because it is the 5-HT4 agonist. So it will increase the gastric emptying time, increase the peristalsis. So it can be used as in increases the lower esophageal sphincter tone. So it can be used in these conditions like diabetic gastroparesis, in GERD, in chronic constipation, in dyspepsia. Ondansetron, it is the 5-HT3 receptor antagonist, And so it can be used in the treatment of cancer, chemotherapy, or radiation induced vomiting, or post-operative nausea and vomiting, or disease or drug associated vomiting. This is a 5-HT3 antagonist. So it will not act in the GIT, chemoreceptor trigger zone, and nucleus tractor solitarius. Ondansetron vomiting is side effect of drugs or drug overdose. Other uses are, it can be used in the other drug-induced vomiting, or action in motion sickness is poor. Its side effects are headache, dizziness, mild constipation, abdominal discomfort, hypotension, bradycardia, chest pain, allergic reactions after IV injection. These are the various side effects of ondansetron. Granisetron is 100 times, 10 times more potent than ondansetron. It is longer acting drug. It acts for 8 to 12 hours. Side effects will be similar to ondansetron, and it is more effective during repeat cycle of chemotherapy, induced nausea and vomiting. Palonosetron, it is the longest acting drug. Its half-life is 40 hours. So it can be used in delayed cisplatin-induced chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting. It has high affinity for 5-HT3 receptors. Its side effects are headache, fatigue, dizziness, abdominal pain, QT prolongation with enzyme inhibitors. Rapid IV injection has caused blurring of vision. These are the various side effects. Ramosetron, it is used in irritable bowel syndrome, and it is having low metogenic chemotherapy. It can be used in chemotherapy, induced nausea and vomiting, post-operative nausea and vomiting, and in low metogenic chemotherapy can also be given orally. And most importantly, it is used in irritable bowel syndrome. NK1 antagonists are the drugs which act on neurokinin 1 receptor in the CTZ and nucleus tractus solitarius, which gets activated by substance B released due to a metogenic chemotherapy or other stimuli causing vomiting. Means it can be released due to pain or due to a metogenic chemotherapy or other stimuli like pain, sight, uh, toxic chemicals can release, they can cause vomiting. Aprepitant is the drug, it's a selective, highly affinity antagonist. Oral dose means this ondansetron, aprepitant is given in the dose of 125 milligram. Ondansetron 80 milligram and dexamethasone 80 milligram is given for 3 days to control chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting. Steroids are also used as an adjuvant to treat the chemotherapy-induced nausea vomiting. It's also effective in post-operative nausea and vomiting. And this aprepitant side effects are weakness, fatigue, flatulence. Fosaprepitant is the parentally administered pro-drug of aprepitant, which is the pro-drug of the aprepitant. This is parentally administered, fosaprepitant. Now, adjuvant antiemetics, these are corticosteroids. They are having the anti-inflammatory action and they are used in chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting. Benzodiazepines, these are used to control the anticipatory vomiting and also the anti-anxiety effects they are having. They can be used in anticipatory vomiting reduction. They produce the sedation and they can also suppress the dystonic side effects of metoclopramide. Means extrapyramidal side effects can also be reduced by benzodiazepines. They produce sedation and these are antiemetic. They can reduce anticipatory vomiting produced by the higher cortex stimulation of pain, smell, touch, emotion, sight. Cannabinoids, cannabinoids are the receptors, agonists, these are cannabinoid receptor agonists, dronabinol and nabilon. These are used as the antiemetics when other antiemetics are not tolerated. They're having the hallucinogenic, disorienting and other central sympathomimetic effects also. So, Nabilon is other cannabinoid which can be used in the treatment of the vomiting. Chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting can be treated by cannabinoids. So that's all for antiemetic drugs. Hope you understood. Happy learning.